Hello, everybody. Welcome to Whitelock TV Live. And now, I don't know if you can see me, but normally I would point to the bottom of the screen and I would say hit subscribe and hit alerts. But at the moment, I can only see my guests. So I don't know if you can see me. It's probably a blessing. Now, and if you're listening to the podcast, welcome back. And here's a fella, I think I've been chasing him around for 30 years. Finally tracked him down. He's good. They've got a new record coming out. From the poor, it's Skenie. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, doing my best. What are you up to? You've got a big gig this Friday, haven't you? I don't want to date the recording too much, but yeah.
Yeah, tonight.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Well, it's tonight over here. You're in London, are you?
Yeah, I'm in London. Yeah. So it's still tomorrow for me. Now, this is a weird one because when I go, like, you know, as someone who sort of got the first EP in 1992 and all that sort of stuff, there's a lot of gaps. You know what I mean? So I thought rather than kind of have this long list of sort of convoluted questions, I'd kind of, if the listeners and viewers are like me, they kind of need a few gaps filling in. So obviously we remember, you know, the album, and we remember the Sony. We remember touring with AC/DC on the Ball Breaker tour. We remember you were going to take over the world and all that sort of stuff. And then from 1994 to 1999, there was the Simple Living single, which I think we all heard on FM radio. But obviously there's the first big gap. So that period from the sort of Sony and the album to coming back with that single, what was going on then?
What happened there, mate, is we'd just done the whole America's leg with AC/DC, and they were going to Europe, and they asked us whether we'd come with them because the tour was going great, and Sony was saying, "Oh, we want you to come back," because it had already been 2 years from the first album being released, and they were saying, "Oh, come back and record the second album." And we thought, okay, should we go with AC/DC and do Europe, or should we go home? And we all came to the decision that we'll come home and record the album. And when we got home, Sony got very cold feet with us. They just signed Silverchair, and the whole ass went out of it, where they told us that it was going to be a big marriage, you know, forever. And it was all a bunch of bullshit. And we did some demos, and I think they were just humoring us for a while. They had no intention. And then that was another 6 months down the track, going into 97. And then there was the other shows we were doing. You know, I think we were doing the Van Halen in 97. I think it was
98. Yeah.
97, 98. The band was still rocking, but yeah. And then Sony dropped us off the label, and then our management followed suit, and we were like, "Fucking hell, what are we doing? What have we done?" We did have a fair bit of cash in the bank, and that's when we thought, oh, you know, we'll just go ahead and do it ourselves, and we released Simple Living, but the printers fucked up the barcode or something, and fucking we couldn't get it on shelves. It was just a fucking comedy of errors. So that's all that happened. And then James left the band before that, the drummer, before the Simple Living thing, and that's when we got Gav Hansen, who's still with us today. And then right at the end of that, in 99, my daughter was 15 months old, and she got meningococcal disease and nearly died, and that sort of took me away from everything for a little bit, and we've been touring for that long, just non-stop and living in each other's pockets, we kind of we didn't break up as a band. We just sort of drifted apart, and we were just living life, pretty much.
Mm.
And then me and Gav moved up to the Gold Coast, and Matt and Julian were in Brisbane, and we just didn't do anything. Like 8 years got away, but me and Gav were in a heavy band called Lump, which we got an EP and 2 albums away with that. And then that folded in 2008, and right at the same time, about a month later, I got a phone call from a promoter who was bringing out Wasp, and he said, "Oh, do you want to do it?" And at first, I went, "Nah, nah, we're not into it." It was sort of like we hadn't even seen each other for ages, and putting the paw back together was, we just hadn't done anything. And then they just said, they offered us a shitload of money, and we were like, "Oh, let's just do it for a laugh. Come on, let's see how we go." As soon as we got into that rehearsal studio, it was like putting on an old boot, and everything just went, and we all just looked at each other and went, "What the fuck have we been doing? How come we haven't been doing this? What are we doing?" Mm-hmm. And then another 2 albums come out after that, which was a lot of stuff which we recorded, half recorded earlier on at Billy Thorpe's studio with Greg Clark. And yeah, it was too good to not release. So, and then we wrote a few more songs, and yeah, that brings us right up to 2010.
Awesome. Welcome back to White Line Fever. I'm here with Skenie from The Poor, and if you're watching, you're just watching. But if you're listening, he was on the last episode. Now we're just talking about the album Who Cares, which we thought was going to be the first in a line of records that will come out for the next 20 years. One a year or one every 2 years, and it didn't work out like that. Whatever happened to the it's just recently been put back on streaming services. It's impossible to get as a physical record, I think, as physical CD. It's probably worth a lot of money. Sony own the tapes pretty much. Is that the situation?
We're still going through a lot of shit with them. I was just even spoke to our old manager like a couple of days ago about the whole situation. We can't physically find any of the old contracts or anything that we when we split with them. But when I remember when we did that, all of our rights to our album are back, and they only had the right to the More Wine video. And I think they were just trying to get in first with putting Who Cares, because we've had a plan the whole time to to release. We've released all the EPs now and all the albums coming up, and we were just going to do it sequentially, and as soon as we started making a few vibes about releasing the EPs, and that Sony put Who Cares straight out on iTunes. So we're still going to do that ourselves anyway, and just see what happens. So, if anything, if they do still own some part of the recordings, we'll just have to license off them to put them on anything, which kind of sucks, is because it's our own shit. Yeah. But everything now, we're doing through Reckless Records, who we trust, and yeah,
cool. And whatever happened to James Young? I haven't really found much about him on the internet or anything. Is he still around?
I I hadn't seen him for 10 years or something, and I was up in Harvey Bay just visiting my brother, and my brother goes, "Oh, you wouldn't believe who I ran into. I ran into James's nephew." And he said that he's in Harvey Bay. And I went, "Oh, bullshit." So next minute, I got his phone number, and we're down the pub catching up. And yeah, it was good to see him again. Same old James. That yeah.
Because you've I mean, you've like, how was the Wasp tour, by the way? Because Wasp, I think they use a lot of backing tapes and stuff like that. What was it like doing that?
The band were great. Blackie Lawless, I don't think too much of him. But yeah, he's a bit pretentious, but yeah, we gave him a bit of a shock. Fucking welcome to Australia, mate. But the band and everything, the tour was great, and we felt really good playing that tour, even though it was kind of different for us, but it sort of kicked us in the ass and just made us want to do it again.
Yeah. Because your I don't know, maybe you were never someone who had expectations, or you weren't super ambitious. You just sort of went with the flow. But I mean, music's different now, isn't it? Like from playing Madison Square Garden with AC/DC to like trying to just get the brand back out there again and build a support again. Like those days are over, aren't they? Really? So,
yeah.
Have your kind of aspirations changed, or has it always been the same?
Always been the same, mate. I've always wanted to be a rock star and live the dream and constantly tour and just keep going. And the dream, I was just saying that to my kids the other day, don't stop believing the dream. And now it all feels like it's come full circle. And there was a bit in the middle there where life happened, and now I'm back to doing what I do best.
Yeah. That great song, Rock and Roll Survivor, which is more people need to hear. And to be coming over here with the Tats, I was reading just then about how you went to America with the Angels, and then obviously the big tour with AC/DC, and then to be coming over here,
Scorpions.
And the Scorpions as well, Scorpions in the States as well. So to be back overseas, is that a big priority for you? Is that a big deal?
That's massive priority. We're since we because Julian left the band about 4 years ago, the guitarist, and we almost hung the boots up, like, and went, "Fuck, how are we going to replace that?" And but then Matt saw Daniel Cox, our new guitarist now, just out, and he goes, "I found him, Skenie. I found him." And he just slotted in straight away. And yeah, so he's been with us for 3 years now, and our whole objective has been, fucking, even though we love Australia so much, fucking the money is overseas and just the exposure. And I know that you put us in front of any crowd, we'll kick their ass.
Why did Julian leave, mate? Obviously the three of you have been through a lot.
Yeah, we don't know. I know he's disgruntled or something about something, and everyone who has seen him has tried to talk to him, but he won't talk to us. And I feel like I looked after him like a big brother for most of his life, and then just turn around and just leave. I don't understand it. But if he walked back into my life now, I just have my arms open, because I still care about him.
Yeah. Before we have another song, Skenie, I'll give you time to think about it. But are you in a position now where if you could relocate or spend 6 months here? There's obviously you're right, there's a big industry for rock music here and in Europe, a lot of festivals and stuff. Are you in a position where you could do that?
Yep. definitely.
Right.
Yeah. All the kids are all grown up now. They can all piss off.
So you sort of got you when you're opening for the Tats, you feel like you're kind of like 20 something again, and you're kind of auditioning for a bigger gig.
Yeah. That's it. And, I mean, we've played with them so many times now that we're all like one in the so we don't even have different band rooms and that. We all just hang out together, and it's like one big band.
And it'll be one big bus, will it, when you're here?
No. Well, that was going to be a bit of a squeeze. That was on the table at first, but yeah, they decided not to go with us all on the bus. So we got our own little van, which is kind of cool because we'll be able to piss off and let the old fogies hang in their bus, and we'll go and do our own thing, you know.
Daniel's a fair bit younger than you, though, isn't he? So is there a generation gap there?
Not really. He's an old soul. Yeah, he's just he's kind of a quiet guy, but he's just all for the rock, and just he just loves hanging out. He thinks we're crazy, but he might be right.
Welcome back to Whitelock Fever, and third and final part of our interview with Skenie from the Paw. Want to thank him for joining us. Now, I just wondered, like, you must look at bands like the Jets and the Angels and all these, and kind of imagine if things had gone differently and the barcode on your CDs was done correctly and all that sort of stuff. That, you know, you would have this kind of built-in audience. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have to, you know, the people, you know, every time the Jets go to the Bridge Hotel at Roselle, that's sold out, and the Angels are similar, blah, blah, blah. Instead, you're kind of having to, you know, rebuild the brand a little bit. Is that kind of now in 10 years' time, you want to have that kind of body of work where people know it and they keep coming back and they know what to expect?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're going all in now. It's just, and the stuff that we're writing now is great, I reckon, and I haven't felt this way about this, you know, about the new album since Who Cares? You know, I thought round one and round two were a bit they weren't up to the mark, if you know what I mean. But this new album kicks ass, and I love every song. There's not a weak song on it.
Tell us about the recording process. I mean, obviously the single is, you're not going to get much airplay with the pedophile reference in the.
We've had to do a few beeps on that for the single and airplay sort of stuff. But
what inspired that? Is it something you saw on the news? What was it? Was it?
No, I don't know. It's
an angry song generally, isn't it? It's a pretty pissed off kind of song. Who are you angry at?
Yeah, but it's just like it just sort of came up, and I don't know. I wrote all the lyrics to it, and I just maybe I saw something on TV or something like that about pedophiles, and I'm like, God, they just get away with everything, you know. Like in my book, and if you ask what my big thing was, is like, if you ask anybody else in the world, they'll say fuck them, you know, like fucking hang them up by the balls and cut their fucking dicks off, and, you know, or get rid of them. But you know, you can't sort of say that in a political world, but
you can sing it apparently.
You can sing it, yeah.
Well, is that, like, I haven't heard the whole album. Is that a theme for the album, that kind of angry thing, or is it you know, like, is that the there's a COVID driven song which sort of had to get done, I suppose, but there's it's pretty much like on the veins of Who Cares. There's the sexy songs, and there's the tongue-in-cheek stuff, you know, typical Paw
banter, basically.
Yeah. Mate, you're one of the best people in Australia, maybe in the world, to ask about the state of rock music is probably someone like yourself who's lived it, and I guess you never stopped being a rocker even when you weren't putting out music or touring. What do you, and then there is a bit of a debate at the moment, you know, the whole, well, there's some good young bands around at the moment, but no one's getting to hear them. So does that mean is rock dead as a cultural force and it's just a practiced art form, or is it actually still influencing people, and is it still having an impact on society? What do you think?
I'm thinking in the last 6 months, even since everything started opening back up with COVID, it's like people were starved of live music, and I can't believe how many new fans that we have picked up. You know, like in the years gone by, in the last 10 years or whatever, it would be just the same, you know, the same faces turning up at the shows and that sort of thing. And it just seemed like no more new people were coming. Now the gigs just lately have just been, you know, with new people and just people wanting to see live music. And they're going to get it with rock because it's so honest.
Yeah. Who are your favourite new Aussie bands? I'll let you go in a minute, but who are you into at the moment? You know,
Aussie bands. Well, I love the Airborne Boys, but they're not new anymore, I suppose. Electric Mary guys. What's some of the younger bands?
They sound a bit like the Lazies and bands like that, isn't there? Like the Casanovas.
Yeah.
But they're not that new, actually. They're all
No,
been
they're
10
not.
years. You know, the
They're
new bands
not.
are more punky, aren't they? They're like the Chats or someone like that. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Those guys, they're just a pisser.
But I mean, the great thing is that, like, I think it's good that there used to be like a lineage where the you know, people talked about the Saints and Radio Birdman or the Angels, Rose Tattoo, AC/DC. Everyone was into overseas bands and a few local bands, whereas now the younger bands, they seem to be quite patriotic about Aussie rock. You know what I mean? Like they actually, if it's like a sports team, they're cheering for it. You know what I mean? Which is a more recent thing, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, it is. It is. The people are just starting to grab a hold of Australia, which is great, and hopefully, you know, with the new generation, or it'll end up like Europe. You know, Australia and New Zealand will be a force of rock and metal and all that sort of stuff, like Europe is. You know. Yeah.
Last question, and we'll have a final song. What is uniquely different about Australian rock? What is it? Someone told me the guy from that Canadian band, The Wild, said he thought it was a drumming. He thought it was the way the drum. He actually thought it was a.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's the honesty.
Yeah.
I think it's the honesty. I think. Fuck! I just had it in my head just before. Just not afraid to make a fucking idiot of yourself.